Yeah, thank you, Adam. Thank you, and welcome to everybody. I think it's the fourth time that I have the honor to give a presentation here at the Integer Emission Conference. And as usual, I was asked to talk about the need of passenger car infrastructure, the development of STR vehicles, the technique. And when I was preparing the presentation, I thought it would be a rather short presentation. And then I thought, yeah, there's another big question pending. And this was also already discussed this morning. And I took up this issue. What is the future of the diesel? What will we do we have to attend? What are the influencing factors? And Adam, in the morning, you just mentioned some influencing factors, and I think I will continue my presentation in this kind. I just placed here some bubbles. What are the factors? What are the challenges concerning the future success of the diesel? On the one hand, we have, of course, climate protection plans, we have CO2 reduction, we have the efficiency advantages of the diesel. On the other hand, we have air quality and emission topics, and how do we handle that? The image of the diesel at the moment, has suffered since 18th September 2015. And okay, on the one hand, there was a topic of cheating, which is illegal, which is crystal clear, the situation. But on the other hand, it became public to the politicians, to the general public, how diesel cars behave on the road, and what is the real emission behavior between test bench and road. And this was well known to experts, but not well known to the public. And I think this was one of the main driving forces in the discussions why we are discussing about the future of the diesel. This is not due to cheating, which happens once. It's rather is the emission behavior of the diesel engine acceptable or not? This discussion was also driven due to air quality challenges that we are facing in Europe. We have these air quality targets, and these are German figures. In Germany, 57% of the city's near traffic air measuring stations are exceeding the annual NO2 emission limit value of 40 milligrams per kilometer. And there are several nitrogen oxide sources which cause this exceedance. But at the near traffic air measuring stations, it's clearly the local road traffic that contributes the most to the air quality NO2 value. And within the contribution of the local road traffic, the fraction of the Euro 5 passenger cars is the most important contributor to the overall NOx emissions at these measuring stations. So there is, of course, a discussion of clearly focusing on how to deal with the diesel, how to deal with the diesel passenger cars. Do we have to ban the diesel out of the cities? And this is a discussion that we are now facing, and which has, of course, a negative impact on the forecast, as you showed, Adam, in the morning. But I want to give a kind of more positive picture for the future. Because we have to look to the emissions, how it was, how it is. In the past, we have also always told the success story of the emission legislation from Euro 0 to Euro 6, 98% emission reduction over the time, a perfect story. The other side of the picture is here a chart from the German Environmental Agency, and they show that in fact Euro 5 car is emitting more or less the same than a Euro 3 car. Also even a Euro 6 car is emitting 6 times more on the road than on the test bench. Yeah, this is the other side of the picture, and of course this is yeah, we have to face this fact. One can discuss about the concrete figures, but I think it has become evident that the emissions, the real emissions on the road of Euro 5 cars especially, are several times higher than the limit value. This was not new to experts, and this was not new to legislators neither, and this is why the legislators started already in 2011. So this means almost 5 years before the Volkswagen scandal, the development of the RDE legislation, and just in parallel, in the parallel session, Penny De Lara from the European Commission showed more or less the same message that I show here. We have now developed RDE, the measurement procedure is ready, timing and limit values are defined in the second package, and now the third package is defined with PN limit values and additional points like cold start and regeneration. It will be published, as I just learned, the 27th of July. And then cars can be type approved with RDE 1 month before it became mandatory. The fourth package in service conformity, I did not hear a concrete date from Penny De Lara, but it will be, in our opinion, in early first quarter of 2018 when this will be finished. Okay, so this means more or less that the legal issue of real driving emissions is addressed, and I have modified the chart from the German Environmental Agency. So if today's Euro 6 cars, Euro 6A, Euro 6B, show real road emission behavior of 507 milligrams per kilometer, then with RDE it will come down to a limit of 128 milligrams, and this is a limit value. The real emission behavior will be below this limit value, and for step 2 we will be below the limit value of 80 milligrams per kilometer. So in our view, this is a good regulation which continues the emission reduction not only on the test bench but also on the road. And regarding the real emission behavior of cars from Euro 5 to RDE, we can state that from Euro 5 to step 2, this will be something like factor 10, more than factor 10 emission reduction, and from Euro 6 to RDE, this will be nevertheless emission reduction of more than 75% in the end. But this Euro 6 legislation and RDE legislation, we are pretty sure that the remaining air quality problems that I addressed in an earlier slide will be finally solved. This is a result from a calculation made by Aviso, which is they make chemistry simulation with an airbox model, and they simulated 3 German measurement station. This is Neckartor in Stuttgart. This is the measurement station with the highest emission values in Germany and other measurement station. And you see with the introduction, with the penetration of Euro 6 cars and with the penetration of RDE technologies in the field, the air quality values are decreasing, and with time goes by, we will all reach the legal air quality limit values of 40 microgram per cubic meters NO2. So this means technically we have the solution. What we now need is a quick market penetration of those vehicles. The current emission behavior of Euro 6 is ambiguous. We have light and shadow. This is our measurements done by ADAC. This is the German Car Drivers Association. And they are highlighting that today's Euro 6 cars that are currently sold show an emission behavior which is not better than an ordinary Euro 5 car. But on the other hand, there are vehicles that already on the road are below the legal emission values. You see here the Seat, Volkswagen, BMW, and the Daimler with the lowest emission values. These are brand new models that are already developed towards this new legislation, and of course, this development for these engines did not start at the 18th September 2015, but a lot of time earlier. So the OEMs already prepared for this future upcoming RDE legislation, and you see now these cars entering the road. So just to illustrate it, in the past we had an emission behavior like that. Today we are in a transitional phase. RDE is not yet in force, but RDE compatible cars are more and more entering the road. So we have today emission distribution like the blue line, and in future when RDE comes into force from this year on, we will have an emission behavior which will be similar to the green line. And with that, we think the remaining emission problems will be solved. Of course, we need very sophisticated technology. This is NOx after treatment, and it's not anymore the question whether it is STR technology or whether it's the NOx traps. It's rather the question, is it STR technology and NOx trap, or is the STR technology sufficient to comply with the RDE legislation? This remains to be seen, but we are pretty sure that every diesel car which will be sold and which will comply with the RDE legislation will have STR technology and a blue on board. A second point for the success of the diesel will be a very sophisticated thermal management. The NOx after treatment systems have a very high NOx reduction efficiency, but only within a certain thermal range. So the objective is to bring the systems as quick as possible into this thermal operating range where they perform well, and also to prevent overheating of those systems. The research is going on for new STR catalysts which have a broader operating range to even further reduce the emissions, especially during cold start. But so development is going on. We need complete new engine and NOx after treatment designs. but we see with today's brand new cars on the road that it is feasible. Of course, it will become more and more expensive, in the end, this may lead to the fact that, Adam, you mentioned the morning as well, that the diesel becomes less attractive in some segments of the vehicle market. But to highlight the importance for the diesel, for the car industry, I want to show the importance of the diesel regarding the CO2 fleet targets. This is the German figures of the fleet CO2 fleet average. It is going down over the years. In 2016, it was 126.5 grams per kilometers in the average. And our statistic department makes the calculation what would have been the fleet average if there was no diesel anymore, and what would have been the fleet average if every car is a diesel car. And there you see the leverage of the influence of the diesel drivetrain. It is something like 13 grams per kilometer. And this is why the diesel remains so important for the automotive industry. But without this diesel effect, we would not be able today to comply with the very ambitious CO2 fleet average targets. And Adam, you also mentioned that the cars will become more costly and so less attractive. This is surely true when we look at the small segment cars, mini segment, the small segment, maybe the compact car segment. But this is a segment where we have today already a very small diesel share. These segments are dominated by the gasoline engine already, so the effect will be limited. On the other hand, the booming segments are at the moment the sports utility vehicles, the minivans, the large vans, the medium cars. And here we are pretty sure that the advantage of the diesel will remain. These are segments where the customer can afford an additional after-treatment technology. So it may become more expensive, but we are pretty sure that it remains attractive to the customer. The diesel is very important for our industry. It's not only because of the individual less fuel consumption. It is also that diesel cars have today in Germany approximately the double of the mileage per year than a gasoline car, which means in terms of greenhouse gas reduction, in terms of climate protection, the diesel remains very important. Just some words to climate protection. We had the Paris Agreement last year with first time clear greenhouse gas reduction targets for 2030 and 2050 in the European Union, and also Germany has defined its targets, which are displayed here, and we have for the first time clear greenhouse gas reduction targets for the transport sector. And this is the situation for the transport sector. From 1990 to 2015, there is almost no progress in greenhouse gas reduction due to the traffic which has risen during this time period. And we have the target of minus 40% until 2030. This means that we have to speed up our greenhouse reduction by 3.3% per year. And Germany has the target of more or less to be carbon neutral in the year 2050. So this is the same picture about the CO2 emissions in road traffic, and the blue line is the development of the CO2 emissions of heavy duty, and red line is passenger car emissions. And assume that we achieve in the heavy duty sector, we achieve to have in the future a flat line, that the heavy duty emissions do not rise anymore. The 2030 targets of minus 40% must come from the passenger car sector. And it would mean that the greenhouse gas emissions from passenger sector have to go down by 72%. In the end, this would mean that we may not sell any vehicle with combustion engine anymore from today on in order to achieve these targets. So this means in future we need additional measures in order to achieve these targets. We need decarbonized or defossilized fuels. We need electricity-based fuels that are carbon neutral. And this is a measure that allows the combustion engine to become carbon neutral. This allows the diesel engine not only to become clean, but also to become carbon neutral. So this is the current diesel share that we have in Europe. You see that the different markets from, for example, here France, Belgium, that go down since many years. Other markets which are developing differently have all been evolving at a range of about 50% market share in the European Union, and the big question is how will it go on? I think we have good technical solutions, and we are pretty confident that the diesel will remain strong in the market because it is competitive, it is cost effective, and it has its advantages. It has further potential for optimization, and as I tried to show in the slide, it can also provide a carbon neutral mobility in the future. So coming back to the core issue of blue for passenger cars, in the past we had at VDA several workshops, we had several discussions, we had good discussions with all of you, and many of you here in the audience I know from these discussions, and we repeated our message about the urgent need of a good infrastructure, and we see now that this infrastructure is really developing. This is a good news. I remember one workshop, I think it was in Sindelfingen, where we concluded that one key message is that we have to address the need for the infrastructure and the new blue, that we have to bring it to the customer. And this is why we edited brochures, we edited leaflets to give first customer information. But I think the last missing stone in this puzzle towards customer information is how can the customer be informed where to fill up his car, because this is what we had as feedback. I have a brand new diesel car with brand new emission reduction technology, but I don't know where to fill up the car. And this is why we together, at VDI, together with Shell, we developed, thanks to Integer, the Find a Blue web page. I think it was explained already yesterday. I will not go into detail to that. I leave it up to Integer. what is important for us that this is a neutral information. It's easy for the customer. It's free of charge. It's regularly updated for the upcoming years, so you can follow the development of the AdBlue infrastructure. It has filtering options that you can, for example, say, I want a convenient filling station, filling pump for AdBlue, or I need an urgent fill up with bottles. So there are all those possibilities. I'm very happy that we have managed to set up this homepage and to let the project start. And I think personally this is a very important additional element in our way to run out to develop this AdBlue infrastructure for passenger cars. Yeah, that's it from my side. And
thank you very much. It was a broader view on the role of diesel within the emissions play as it stands, so including CO2. Clearly, the control of CO2 is a role that diesel has to play. On the chart you showed that had the Euro 6B limit, the real-world driving limit, and the number of cars that were exceeding it at present, have you got a sense that your members are in a position to meet those standards? I mean, there was a few cars, but the vast majority weren't. And what technologies are they going to have to introduce further? Will it be higher AdBlue dosing? How will it play out?
I think it's not a simple question of dosing. These are, as I learned, complete new designs, engine and after treatment designs. So it's close coupled. You have, first of all, in the engine, all kind of raw emission reduction technologies with the low pressure and high pressure exhaust gas recirculation, optimized combustion process, that you already reach a very low raw emission value. And then, of course, today's STR system has a peak efficiency of something like 90%. And you have to try to bring the STR system into this range in order to reach the limit values in the end.
Okay. Have we got any questions from the floor? Yep, there's...
Hi, Oriol from Lincoln. The success of the storage set, which is good for especially we as AdBlue suppliers, see a stability in the market and a growth in the next years, thanks to the passenger car development. It will only be a success if the quality of AdBlue is good, because the cars will be very sensitive to the quality of AdBlue. There are already some examples, and we know how sensitive they will be. That book quality will be even more an issue than it has been for trucks. What is VDA going to do to make sure that AdBlue, which is on the market, and the licensed parties which are getting a license from you are audited and are checked, so that we can guarantee that the product that all these parties are offering is according to the ISO specification?
Yeah, but I think the process that has been set up by VDA and by the VDA working group, where you are all members, is continuing, and the question of quality is valid for the heavy-duty segment as well as for the passenger car segment. This is the same product. Yeah. So we continue the quality surveillance process, the licensing process will continue as it was. I don't see an influence whether the AdBlue is produced for heavy duty or passenger cars.
Okay. Any further questions from the floor? We'll work our way to...
Thank you for the nice overview. You have reported from the finditblue.com site, and as I remember, there has been planned also to have an app for cell phones. Do you know when this app will be ready?
Yes, there was the idea to have a cell phone app to make it even more convenient for the customer who has not a navigation system on board and who have this brand new data in his car. Tim or Adam, maybe someone from Integer Research can answer this question.
It's in the final stages of testing it. It's a few weeks away.
Yeah, I think we had a internal run through with bug testing the app last week, and once those are processed, we'll put it out to another bug testing. So, yeah, let's say a month to be safe. And there was a further question, Mr. Mubak.
Matthias Mieber from the Stockmeyer Group. Very enlightening presentation. Thank you very much. Earlier this morning, Adam, we saw a slide from you that there was actually a drop on new registration diesel cars from 49%, and it might drop to 33%, if I remember that correctly. So you both have the same starting point at 49% on new cars, or new diesel cars. And I'm interested to hear from the VDA what is your view or the VDA view on the future percentage of diesel cars, especially on passenger cars.
Yeah, I do not have a concrete figure, but frankly spoken, I'm not so pessimistic than Adam is. For example, the last drop came tremendously from the question of diesel ban in inner cities. And I'm pretty sure with the emission behavior of those brand new cars, the air quality problem will be solved, and we don't need diesel ban from inner cities anymore. And this is what we try to prevent at the moment, and this is a current situation, and this is a current discussion which is a little bit overheated also. I think when we see that Euro 6 cars are clean, then the discussion about diesel ban or excluding diesel vehicles from inner cities will end. And this is why I'm more optimistic for my forecast than Adam. I'm not able to give you a concrete number.
Between 33 and 49, presumably. I think so. Yeah.
Let's say there are many influencing factors, and there are pros and cons. And I think regarding the development of the current market with lots of SUV vehicles, they will have a large diesel share because those are mostly company cars. The difference at those kind of vehicles between gasoline and diesel engine will be more. So the individual advantage of the diesel in this vehicle segment is even higher. And of course, in the lower car segment, it will lose. But optimistically spoken, one could guess that the diesel share remains stable, but I can only point out the influencing factors.
Okay. I think we had another question at the back. Yep.
Yes. Richard from Croscam. Just following the Greencam question, maybe we'll try to address it in a different way, but hope I get an answer. There's quite many companies which has signed agreements with the VDA in 2006, 2005, and they don't have obligation to be audited. So they are having a fantastic life without any audits. Yes? And how to make this all thing, let's say, right and the same for everybody, because we still have companies just neighboring our country, and they're selling alcohol without any audits.
This was not the topic of my presentation now, but I understand that it is an issue, and that I understood from the panel discussion this morning that this is still an issue, and yeah, I think it must be addressed. It will be addressed at VDA within the working group. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a few more.
Jakob Hornberger from Yara. You have shown that Euro 6, the new one on Euro 6C/D, will solve the NOx issues, but the car fleet will not change overnight.
Yes.
What does VDA think about discussions about retrofit for Euro 5 cars?
Yeah, we are in the moment in this discussion, and this discussion is due to the fact that Euro 5 is the largest emission contributor in inner cities for nitrogen oxide. And we see today possibilities to, let's say, to upgrade Euro 5 vehicles, which are already in the fleet. And we have worked out in Germany a concept how to upgrade those vehicles and to combine these upgrades with other measures like renewing taxi fleets, better traffic management, all those topics, in order to get the emission limit values, in order to get the air quality targets reached earlier than only by normal Euro 6 penetration. We are in a good discussion. It's not yet fixed, but we are pretty confident that with all these measures, with all these actions, including an upgrade of Euro 5 cars in the fleet, we can finalize or finish or avoid the discussion of a diesel ban for Euro 5 cars.